welcome back to Real Reviews. This is Cody Williams, and we are talking about the movie The Ring. It is actually an Americanized remake of the classic Japanese film Ringu, which released in the latter 90s. It's been a while since I've last seen it, but I do remember it being pretty good for the most part. This particular remake, I feel, is a big improvement in quality, so to speak. When it released in theaters back in 2002, it really made a big impact for the horror genre, and it was critically acclaimed by many fans for being one of the scariest movies ever seen. Even I myself consider this movie to be frightening to this very day. What makes this movie effectively scary? Well, let's talk about it. The movie story follows a cursed videotape that causes death to its viewers within the span of 7 days. Investigative journalist Rachel Keller begins to uncover the secrets of the videotape and must race against time to save herself. As far as horror movies go, I can easily say that this movie ranks right on top when compared to everything else. The fright and shock factor that this movie has is really something quite stupendous. If you're familiar with Gore Verbinski, you may know him as the director of some quite amazing movies. His notable works include the liking of the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, A Cure for Wellness, and a bunch of other movies that are just way too many to list. His direction with this particular flick is quite fitting for a movie of this magnitude. You remember how his other movie, A Cure for Wellness, was something the stuff of nightmares? Well, this movie is pretty much the same. Unlike most horror movies nowadays, The Ring has some carefully placed jump scares, and it doesn't overly rely on them too much, surprisingly. Where this movie excels at is the gloomy atmospheric cinematography, frightening use of visual imagery, and a beautifully haunting soundtrack by the great Hans Zimmer. The scariest thing about this movie is the cursed videotape itself, which makes you feel like you're watching a David Lynch movie. It's so disturbing to watch, but you just can't look away. This is where the frightening visual imagery comes into play. If the cursed videotape doesn't creep you out, I don't know what will, because there's a fair amount of shocking and disturbing moments throughout the movie that's guaranteed to make you feel uncomfortable. There is one minor thing in this movie that doesn't sit well with me. For instance, some of the movie's dialogue felt out of place for my liking, especially for the child actor. His character doesn't act like your typical 9-year-old and has the mannerisms of an adult. What's weird enough is that he calls both of his parents by their first name. I mean, who does that? He's simply an odd character to say the least. I know it's not the actor's fault, but I just don't like how he was written. It could have been done respectively better. As far as the other characters go, I really enjoy the acting from Naomi Watts, Martin Henderson, and Brian Cox. They're all simply amazing in this movie. One standout character I really want to go into specifics is the supernatural character of Samara that brought upon the cursed videotape. The character's creepy performance from Dave Chase is quite impeccably well done. Come to think of it, I don't think there's anything else that I didn't like, as that pretty much covers it all. Overall, The Ring is definitely one of your better horror movies to come from the early 2000s. It never loses any sense of rewatchability, and I can consider it a personal favorite as far as horror movies go. Easily said, this movie is pure nightmare fuel, and I can never get tired of watching it. I give this movie an A. Well, that's the end for my Halloween special for this year, and I would love to do this again in the upcoming future, as I had so much fun doing so. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Keep up with my real reviews.